So today, what I'm doing is 3 cards for the Hip Kit Club, and the assignment was to make cards using cut files and fussy cut pieces from the pattern papers included in the kits. Sorry. So I started by using a cut file, an exclusive cut file from the Hip Kit Club, and the cut file is including 3 designs. It's this paradise design, so the word paradise, and then there's the flamingo that you see on the left, and then there's also a pineapple. And I just use that cut file and use the 3 designs included in that one. So for the first one, I cut out the word paradise 3 times. I used yellow pattern paper and 2 plain cardstocks, a pink one and an orange one. And then they are exactly the same size, but I put them together slightly on it in a different, like, how do you say, they are a little bit off. So the pink one is a little bit more on the left, and then the yellow one, so the top one is a little bit more on the right, and the orange one is in the middle. So then you can see the 3 layers, which I think looks very cool. And then I put it off to the side to start with my second cut file. And there I'm using exactly the same papers that I used to cut out the words, but I'm backing this pineapple cut file. And I'm using those 3 colors so that it looks a little bit like it's a gradient look. And then I'm using some green piece of some pattern paper to back the leaves of the pineapple. Then I wanted the pineapple to have a little bit of border because I always think that that looks more finished and very cool, and so I made a blue border around the pineapple. And then for the flamingo, I'm using the back side of this very cool flower pattern paper that I already used on other layouts, and I love the other side too, which is white and pink striped. So I backed the flamingo, and I'm doing the same thing as with pineapple. I'm putting it on some red cardstock and then cutting it out again to have this bright pink, or not bright pink, light pink paper border around the whole flamingo. Yeah, and I always think that that looks so much cooler than just the cut file. Yeah, so when I had all my pieces, I chose some papers that I wanted to use as a background, and like I'm going for always the same, like I'm going for the same papers all the time because I wanted at least 2 of the same elements in each card, like so that when you put the 3 cards next to each other, they really look like they belong to the same set. I don't like doing cards or making cards where they are totally different. I think that's not my style. I always like to have matching cards. So with those 3 different elements, which have the same theme, I also wanted to include the same papers not the same in every card, but at least 2 cards, and the same elements in at least 2 cards. So you can see that in the pineapple and in the word paradise, I used the same pattern, like colors, and then I'm using the same blue as a background for the flamingo as I used to frame that pineapple. And then I'm cutting out those flowers of that very pretty paper, and I I knew when I saw that paper that, yeah, I would use them a lot, and I would use every single one of them because they are perfect to decorate. So then I cut out everything I could from those papers, from that paper, my flower paper, and yeah, now I'm starting to put the pieces together a little bit. So with the pineapple, what I'm doing right there is I took one of the flowers I already cut out for a different project, and I kept it because I didn't needed it at that time. And I'm putting it behind the pineapple, and also what I did there again is using the paper that I used for the flamingo to back the flamingo. I'm using it as background for my pineapple card. Then I'm going again for this flower paper with it's a Pink Fresh Studio paper with a lot of watercolors, and there are some floral designs in white. Oh yeah, I'm just showing you that I did some stitching there. So again, for the back of the card, the background is blue, but still I need my frame. So I framed it with some of that same paper I'm just cutting out there. And I think that with a border, it always looks a lot nicer. So I'm cutting out some flowers there that I want to put in the background of my card. And I think that it looks very cool with the flamingo on top, and with all those florals around the whole thing. So there, I'm using some liquid glue to adhere this flower, and then I'm also using these foam squares to adhere the flamingo, and I wanted the flamingo to stand out a little bit, of course. So yeah, putting down flamingo and then just going for the rest of the stuff. And I'm also using some foam squares to put on these flowers because I wanted some dimension in the whole thing. And the daisies in that pattern paper, the floral pattern paper from, I don't even, is it Echo Park? Good question. So yeah, yeah, the daisies are like so cute, and they are so perfect to embellish every layout and every card that you want to make. Yep, so I'm putting down everything, and then I'm going to use some gesso and water to have some, not shadows obviously, but some, like, could you call this, just some color coming out from behind the flamingo. And I think that that looks very cool, and it gives more interest to the whole thing. And I'm just using a brush and my fingers to get this done and to have this watercolor look behind the flamingo. And then I will use also my brush and some paint to make some splatters. And the splatters are very cool every time. I think it looks very good with splatters. So yeah, then I thought that at in the on the right side of the card there, it was a little bit naked and I wanted to add something. So I cut out one more flower from that same paper, and then I put it together, and then also used some of the other flowers to complete the look. And as you can see, I'm putting down the flowers. Oh yeah, there I'm using my brush to make some bigger splatters, and I'm not really making splatters or yeah, splashing color, but I'm just drawing some dots on there because I wanted them exactly in the right spots. Yeah, what I want to say? Yeah, for the flowers, the watercolor flowers, I used some liquid glue, and then for the other ones, I used some foam dots. Just that I know you already know, but yeah. So, and then for the sentiment on a card, I used those very, very, very beautiful gold thickers from the kits, put them on that same watercolor paper, and then I cut the whole thing out. I love to do that, as you know. And then I put it on my card, and I wanted to write much love. So, yeah, doing that later, as I can see. But now I'm using some enamel dots to put in the centers of some flowers. Not all of the flowers, but some of the flowers. And I think that gives a very cute look. And then using those, is it Pink Fresh? I think it's Pink Fresh Studio mini thickers to write the word much. And then using some foam dots, I'm putting the word love just beneath. And I think the first card is done. Oh yeah, since I had just the gold in one spot on a card, I used some of those little dots of the gold thickers to put around in some places so that it would look more balanced. Ta-da! Done. But I'm still adding some things to this card later, because when I doing the other cards, then I will compare the cards and I will think, oh, there's not enough not enough on there. So here's the second card, and I think I forgot to turn on my camera because I had no footage of this. So, but what I did there, I just added some daisies and some of those red flowers. And for the center, for three of the flowers, I used the brads of the Echo Park embellishments, where there are brads and there are those with those very cute rhinestones. So I use those, and I think it looks very cool. And then just putting the word enjoy from the Pink Fresh Studio thickers on some white paper, and yeah, cutting it out and putting it as a sentiment on a card. Here I'm going around with a pen, with a purple pen, for to make a frame or a border, because I forgot to stitch before I put everything down. It's fake stitching. Let's call it fake stitching. Oh yeah, and then that was the point where I thought, okay, the other cards need something else and needs a pop of color, and I used some blue enamel dots to yeah, to make it more interesting. And still it's not done. That I can tell you. I will still add things, but not on camera, but you will see it in the final result that I used some more flowers. I'm using those flowers that you can see there, but I still will use some other flowers from the HKC exclusive ephemera pack on there. Sorry for that. I'm talking too fast. That's not good for me. Yeah, putting some white yeah, white, how do you call those, white spots, white yeah, lines on the word paradise, because I always think that looks very cute. And then just seeing which background I should use for this card. And I'm going for this very, very beautiful purple paper. And yeah, just trying to figure out which paper to use as background. And I thought that this was too dark. I wanted something lighter. So I'm going for, I don't know anymore. We'll see. Hmm. Yep, this one. Yeah, and that looked very cool with the purple, I think. Very cool. So yeah, just cutting it out. Oh, and as you can see, those are not really cards. They are just the front of something that could be a card. But it was easier to just do it like that. And if someday I really need it as a card, I will just create a base and then put this on top. But I didn't want to use so much paper that you couldn't see on the finished product pictures anymore. So for the second and the third card, I just did the front of the card. Who cares? So yeah, just cutting out more of those flowers because I wanted the cards to match and to look like they would be from the same collection. And I'm putting down my flowers. And the leaves weren't always where they were supposed to be for my design, so I cut most of the time I cut out the leaves from the flowers. I separated them and then put the leaves there. You can see it's not where I want it to be, so cutting it off and replacing them in a better spot. So that's much better for me. And then, yeah, I also wanted a leaf on that side for the pink flower, and I'm just cutting one out and putting it behind there. And you can't even see afterwards that they weren't there in the beginning. Yes, putting on some foam squares and just putting my words on the card, and then using the last daisy flowers to yeah, add as embellishments. And those were really the last ones. I had two of those papers and I cut them all out, all of them. Then I'm trying if this brad will look good on the flower, but I don't think it will. So I'm using those dark purple enamel dots, putting them on some flowers, and I wanted to write a sentiment on this card, but I didn't think that it looked very cool, so I'm taking it off again. I'm saying have fun, which could have been a very cool card if you're gifting a little getaway to someone or something, but yeah, it wasn't looking very good, so took that off. Then I'm going through the floral exclusive Hip Kit Club ephemera. I'm taking out all of the leaves that looked a little bit like that, the same style of leaves with the white border, and I thought that they would look amazing on this card. So, and they do. So I'm putting them on my card and just checking how I want it to be and how it looks the best. Yep. So, yeah, putting them down, not taking them off again because I will forget how I place them, and just putting some glue behind. And I'm never putting glue on the whole thing, I'm just putting a little bit of glue so that the paper will, um, yeah, the, the, the front of the, or the, how do you call that? The paper will, I don't know how to explain it in English, but the paper will um, change its shape a little bit and not be as flat, and then the leaves will stand up a little bit, and that will give it a little bit more dimension. Then I'm using a lot of those enamel dots to complete the whole thing and just put in some places that I thought will look good. and I'm using the um, mint ones and turquoise ones and the peach ones. Then I'm using my the pen I always use to make the splatters. I'm just putting some on this paper, and I'm taking my brush for the splatters this time because I wanted them in exactly the right spots, and I didn't want to use the pen as I always do, because there you have more like you didn't really have control over where the splatters will be. So, and I didn't want that on this little tiny card. Then I'm using this pen again to make a border and to complete this card. And yeah, I'm also drawing some teeny tiny little stars on some places because I thought that that color would look also very cool on the card and not just around. So and that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you like the cards. I hope you are inspired to use that super cool cut file. Let me know in the comments. And yeah, thank you so much. Bye bye.